All right guys, here we are on another KTM build video. I know it's been a very, very long time. Thank you for being patient with me. Snowmobile season's hectic. I've been doing a lot of riding. I've been super happy with this snow this year, and I'm kind of bummed that it's wrapping up. But that means we're gonna start working on the KTM 125 build. So as you can see behind me, I've got a rear wheel setup completely done, other than tube and tire, but pretty much completed. Today we're going to work on the front wheel. I'm going to show you guys how to lace a wheel. I'm going to show you the stuff that I use to do it, and we're actually going to do our entire front wheel today. I'm pretty excited about my new setup here. I've got a mic setup going on. I know my audio has had a lot to be desired, and if I yell into this, I'm sorry, because I'm used to having a mic mounted up here on my camera and then having to like move the camera, move my head and all that stuff. So I'm pretty excited about the new mic setup. I think it's gonna be awesome. But let's hop on it. I'll show you guys this wheel and how it's set up and just how it turned out. It turned out amazing. Okay, so here's our rear wheel setup. We've got a primary drive sprocket. We've got, oh, didn't see that. Primary drive sprocket, Tusk front brake rotor, and then this is the Tusk spoke kit. Now I will say this about the Tusk spoke kit. The fitment was not amazing. So what I mean by that is there are bends in all the spokes, and the bend on the spokes is not quite perfect. So it did go together fine. It was a little bit tougher than wheels in the past that I've done, but it wasn't horrible at all. So don't be afraid to go ahead and buy this kit. I will say this, the spokes are just a tad bit smaller, but they're still plenty beefy for this wheel. So like I said, fitment was a little bit weird, but don't be afraid to go ahead and buy it. So turned out really, really good. I want to explain something though really quick. Being that this was a build bike, I was going to go ahead and basically clean up all the spokes and take this coating off. And as you can see, they actually turn out pretty dang good, but that coating is a bear to get off. And I was using the danmx wheels to do that. And it's kind of one of them deals where it's like time is money, and I really didn't want to just keep going at it and keep going at it and keep going at it and waste my time. This spoke kit is only like 50 bucks a wheel. So if you've got a good hub and a good rim and you need a spoke kit, it's a great alternative. So this wheel is completely done. The only thing we need to do here is put a rim band on it and put our tube and tire on, and this thing is ready to mount. So pretty excited how it turned out. Let me grab all my stuff, get it over here on the table, and we will get you set up. All right, guys, here's our setup. I'm gonna show you the tools I'm using first. I've got a manual spoke wrench here. This one's 2 different sizes. I'm not sure exactly what the sizes are. It has a 6 and a 7 stamped on it, but it doesn't actually correlate with what my metric setup is on my torque wrench, so I have no idea. But anyway, the spoke size that I seem to be working with, according to my torque wrench, oh focus, there we go, is a 6.6 millimeter. So if you end up buying this spoke kit, that should be the size that you will need. Now this Tusk spoke torque wrench kit comes with 5 different sizes, so you have a lot to choose from. Got our spoke nipples, got our spokes, our hub, and then our wheel. So before we get into this, I'm going to explain to you how lacing a wheel works. And how easy it actually is. Everybody is intimidated by it, thinks it's a very complicated process. It's actually not. Oh, and the other tool that we're going to use too is going to be our Tusk wheel truing stand. So super awesome tool. Have it. It's a must-have if you do go through wheels, if you're that guy that does it or does bike builds for sure. Okay, so let's talk about how lacing a wheel works. So let's look at the hub first. If you look at the hub, there are 2 sets of spoke holes, and one is lower, one is higher. So if I put 2 spokes in here, let me show you what I'm talking about here. So let's go with the lower first. This would be my lower hole in my hub. Okay, I'm going to put that in. And then this would be my upper hole, which would be right there. Now, you have to put the spokes in this order. Lower first, upper second. It makes lacing the wheel just 100 times easier if you do it in that order. Now, that being said, if you look on the back side here, now they are sitting exactly how they should be. At that point now, you have to go ahead and line up your holes with the corresponding spoke. These holes all face a different direction, meaning this side, the opposite side, and then you will be able to see that once you get these kind of tight or pulled tight, you'll be able to see which holes they actually line up with. So it's pretty obvious. You can't really get it wrong. Well, I mean, you can get it wrong, but it's kind of hard to mess up. So you want to just take your time, do it correctly, get your wheel lined up correctly, test it with a couple spokes, couple nipples on the end, make sure everything is lining up, and then you can't go wrong. So let's hop on it. I'll show you guys how I do a wheel. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but I can get by on my own just fine. Okay guys, let's get started. Let's go ahead and do our lower spokes first, get all these put in, and then we'll switch over to our upper spokes. All right, now that we've got all of our spokes in, I'm gonna give you guys just a little bit of a hint here. You want this rim to be basically centered with the hub where it would normally ride. So to help with that, I just found two things that are the thickness that make it about perfect to raise this up, because your spokes are not gonna wanna twist at the correct angle with the wheel favoring one side or the other, if that makes sense. You're gonna have a lot of struggle with getting the spokes lined up. So that's an easy way to go ahead and do that. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a couple spoke nipples here, and I'm going to start working my way just around the rim, connecting my bottom spokes first, my lower, I guess, if you want to call them that, and then I will connect all my upper spokes, because I can always lift these ones up above my lowers, but I can't always lift my lowers around my uppers. Sometimes they kind of get it kind of gets a little bit confusing. So lowers first and then the uppers, and I'm just going to go ahead, get it lined up with the rim, and just a couple threads in, nothing too crazy. All right guys, got all these threaded on, and we're going to go ahead, we're going to flip our wheel over and do the exact same thing on the opposite side. Now what you're going to notice here, okay, is if you did this correctly, you're going to notice that every other hole is going to be your pattern here. Every other hole and every other direction. So it's very, very simple once you get started, especially when you get to this point, because you know when you flip it over on the opposite side, everything is going to line up perfectly. So again, start with your bottom spokes and then your uppers. You can't go wrong. You can't mess it up. All right, guys, the wheel's flipped over. We're going to go ahead and do the same thing on the other side. Now, one thing I didn't mention before was that when you put these spokes in, you have to put the bottom and the top in at the same time. It's really tempting to go ahead and start lifting these spokes up, putting them in the holes because you can see the orientation, and start putting them together. But don't do that, because you will not be able to get your top ones in and everything meshing the right way, if that makes sense. So trust me on it. Just go ahead, don't skip that step. Do your bottoms, then your tops, and then put it all together at one time. Okay, now that I've got all the spoke nipples on, I'm just going to go around the entire wheel and just start tightening up the spokes using my little impact driver here, and just go all the way around and suck everything up until it starts to get snug. Not tight, in fact not even snug, but once the wheel goes from completely loose to somewhat settled. So just take your time, go around nice and slow, little bit at a time, and then you won't bind up these spokes or anything like that. We've got our wheel basically all just lightly tightened up. There's still a bunch of loose spokes. Nothing is tight at all by any means. But now we're going to go ahead and put it on our wheel truing stand. Now this is a Tusk one from Rocky Mountain. It's a very, very good truing stand. If you do not have a wheel truing stand, which I'm sure a lot of you don't or never will purchase one, you can use your bike as a way to mount it up and turn the wheel and true it up that way. You just have to get creative and mock up some kind of a pointer so that you can tell where your wobble is and where your up and down motion is. So not a big deal, but you can do that on the bike. So lucky for me, I have a wheel truing stand. Super easy setup, just rides on these bearings here. I'm going to go ahead and put my sleeves into my collars on my bushings on my wheel, and then tighten it up, set my needle up, and then give it a spin and see where I need to make my adjustments. Okay guys, I've got this mounted up on the wheel truing stand. Got my needle semi-close, and as you can see, there's a little bit of side-to-side wobble in it, not too much. The nice thing is my up and down is completely straight. So as long as I don't make too many adjustments up and down, all I need to do is correct my side-to-side wobble, and I'm going to be good to go. So let me explain to you how to do this. All right, so let's spin our wheel, and we'll see where our side-to-side movement is. So as you can see, it's a very slight, but there's just a little bit of side to side right there. And so what I'm going to do here to get this corrected is I'm going to find out where my side to side starts, and I'm going to tighten the spokes on the opposite side of that movement. So starting about right there, I'm going to go ahead and take my spoke wrench, and I'm going to start hitting this spoke, whoops, that one, that one, that one, that one, and then I'm going to go to the opposite side of the wheel, and I'm going to hit the opposite side of the spokes to drag the wheel the opposite direction up top. And that should cure my side-to-side movement. Now, like I said, I have no up and down movement, hardly at all, so I'm not even going to worry about that. Now, to be honest, I don't know what the spec is on a dirt bike wheel, but you have to understand it's still a dirt bike wheel, so it doesn't have to be exactly perfect, not like a street bike, but pretty dang close. So right there is where I start to have my side-to-side movement. So I'm going to start hitting these spokes one at a time, just tightening a little bit at a time here until I start to lose that side-to-side. And my spokes, like I said earlier, are not very tight right now, so I should get quite a bit of adjustment out of them, which is good. Okay, so I've got those tightened just a hair, and that's already taken a little bit of my drag out of there. Now I'm going to go to the opposite side and tighten those ones, which would be right there. Okay, about right here. And I'm going to start tightening these just a little bit and bring that other side back. What you don't want to do is just tighten one side too much and not correct the opposite end. And then you start to have issues with your up and down, and you'll never really correct your side to side. So spinning it now, you notice we have a little bit less wobble, just a little bit. We're going to go ahead and make a little bit more of a correction. So right here, where it starts, about right there. Again, a little bit of adjustment, a little bit. Okay, as you guys can see now, I pretty much got all of the wobble out of the wheel. I just have a little teeny tiny bit, but hardly anything at all. So we're going to call that good. And before we move on with any more spoke tightening or adjustment, we're going to go ahead and make our round, make the round all the way around the wheel and make sure everything is snugged up. If everything is snugged up, we can start getting our torque wrench out and start torquing everything in the correct pattern. So when talking about the correct pattern, what we want to do is we want to start at our hole where our valve stem would be, which should be right here. I'm going to start here. I'm going to go this one, skip 1, skip 2, third one, skip 1, skip 2, third one, skip 1, skip 2, third one, and just continue my way around until I get right back around to my valve stem hole, which should be right here. And then I'm going to go ahead and do it again. Skip 1, this one, 1, 2, this one, 1, 2, this one, and so on and so forth until I make it through around all of my spokes. So that's what I'm going to go ahead and do right now using my little manual wrench here before I use my torque wrench. And I'm just going to snug it up. Just snug them up. Okay guys, as you can see, I've got most of the wobble out. There is a slight bend in this rim I noticed. I'm truing it up, so that's what you get when you deal with rims that, you know, come off a bike that's been rode already, so not a huge deal. But now I'm going to go ahead and start torquing these things up and finalizing this whole wheel. To do so, again, I'm going to start at my valve stem. I've got my torque wrench set to 48 inch-pounds. That's what I found that the KTM's like as far as my research goes. So I'm going to go ahead and start torquing these. If I don't reach my 48 pounds, or inch-pounds, sorry, if I don't reach my 48 inch-pounds right away, that's okay. I will just make the rounds around the wheel, and then eventually I will get to that 48 inch-pounds. So not a big deal. I'm not going to rush the process here, but just take your time, go all the way around, enjoy this, and get it right the first time. Alrighty guys, there is a look at the brand new wheels. So pumped on how they turned out. I'm glad I went with the silver spokes and the Tusk brake rotors. I think the primary drive rear sprocket looks amazing also. Did use brand new hardware and everything, and to be honest, I've never really torqued any of my brake discs, so just snug them up. You don't want to strip out the hubs or anything like that. Just snug them up good. Make sure you use red or blue Loctite on them for sure, and especially on your sprocket nuts themselves. So leave a comment down below. Tell me if you like them, what you think. I hope this video helped you guys get started on your own if you decide to go ahead and lace some wheels up and true them. It's a very simple process that can be overcomplicated for sure, but don't be intimidated by it. It's very, very easy to do. In fact, you know, if I had the money in this build to do it, I probably would have just got new rims and hubs also. But I like the process. I think they turned out great. And yeah, tell me what you think. Okay, guys. That's going to do it for this one. Next video, we're going to go ahead and mount up the tires, tubes, all that stuff. So I'll show you how I do that without using a tire stand. And then we'll get them mounted up to the bike and see how it looks. If you guys haven't, please give me a like, subscribe, and we will catch you in the next one. Thanks.